Have you ever felt like you accomplished everything that you wanted to, or you finally got that grade, or you got that car, and it felt good for a few weeks, maybe a few days, or even a few hours, and then all of a sudden you noticed you just went back to kind of feeling the same or kind of feeling empty if what it was that you were chasing you looked at as being able to fill this void. And so for that 2 weeks or that 2 hours, whatever it was, you thought that you had filled the void and you felt amazing. And then as soon as that time was up, you either felt the same or you felt even worse than you did before. And so this video is really just about me talking about how it's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about trying to accomplish these things in life just for the sake of doing it, but really it's about always keeping God in mind and doing everything that we do to honor and glorify God. Because I always thought that when it came to buying shoes or buying a car, that these things would fill that void and these things would make me feel good about myself. These things would give me a sense of pride. But ultimately, these feelings are all fleeting. And living that way and having that mindset around ourselves, it's the reason why we never end up feeling truly fulfilled because we're just not living in our purpose and we don't have enough purpose behind what we're doing exactly. Because ultimately, the things that we're doing, we're looking at as just being a means to an end. For example, I remember I was watching this J. Cole interview years ago, and he was talking about how when he finally got famous, he wanted the Range Rover, the chains, the house. And once he got all of those things, he just realized that he still felt the same. He didn't have that sense of pride, and it wasn't as long lasting as he thought it would be. And of course, I saw that interview and it I remember I thought about it for a little bit, but it gets so easy to go back to our old ways of thinking. And that's one of the reasons why I want to be more consistent in posting on this channel because I want to post these videos more so, for the good of everybody, of course, but also as a reminder to myself to keep these things close to my heart. Because in the day and age that we live in, where we're constantly bombarded with ads and things that we need to buy to improve a certain aspect of our lives, and it's just everything is so focused around me. How can I make my life better? What are things I can do for me? And truly, I'm just starting to try to shift that mindset into from me to, okay, what would God want me to do in this position? What would bring glory to his name? And even when it comes to just like working, one of the reasons people feel so empty when they go to work is they look at their job as, oh, it's a dead end job. I'm not making the money I want to make, or, you know, this coworker I have gets on my nerves, or whatever the case may be. But we tend to miss the boat a lot when we think about our jobs because you might be a cashier at the grocery store, but you smiling at somebody and greeting them could truly make their day. But instead of that, we get so caught up in, oh, well, I should be making more money, or, I'm trying to get another job first, and all of these other things. But we tend to skip the fact that all jobs should bring glory to God. And if that means that you don't have to be a doctor to make a difference in people's lives, it could just be that if you're a cashier at the grocery store and you're on a break or something, but you see an older lady drop something on the floor, just helping her pick that up. Nothing that's crazy or you going out of your way to do anything, but that small gesture could truly mean the world and make such a great impact on that person's life, and you might not even know it. And even just from listening to people like Ed Milet, and Ed Milet had this podcast episode I was listening to where he was talking about how oftentimes we tend to feel like we're unqualified to give people advice. But honestly, we're qualified to help the people that we used to be. And he gave this story about how his dad, before he passed, was an alcoholic, and the person who helped him likely was also a former alcoholic. And he easily could have said, oh no, well, I don't qualify to help him because I used to be an alcoholic and I used to do these things that are unbecoming of someone who's supposed to be giving advice. But instead he shifted his mindset and said, no, like, because I used to be an alcoholic and I recovered from that, now I can help someone who's in the same position that I was in to get out of that space. And when you think like this, it almost creates a domino effect because you help someone who struggled with something, and now they can help another person, and they can help another person. And even when you think about just being kind to people, it's not so much about what they can do for you in return, but it's about you might smile at someone and greet them and make their day, and you just boosted their mood. So now the next person they're going to see, their mood is going to be much better, much more elevated, all because of what you did. And now that person who got touched by the person that you touched might go touch someone else, might be in a better mood when they're seeing someone else. And these are all things that God would want us to do. And so I also was listening to, I think it was in Jay Shetty's book, um, where he talked about just your mindset about certain things. And he gave this example about how I think it was a study or something, and people interviewed these janitors, and they're like, "Oh, like what do you do for work?" And they're like, "Oh, like we just clean schools, we clean buildings after everyone has gone home." And then they turned around and asked some construction workers what they do for work. And they said, oh, we get to build these beautiful buildings for people to come or for people to go to church, for people to do these great things in. And there you just see the difference in the shift of mindset. One person has this attitude of like, woe is me. I just like vacuum the floors and I mop the floors. Whereas the other person said, I mean, yeah, it's like you might be working outside and it's 100 degrees and it might be super annoying sometimes having to get up really early. But their mindset was different because they focused on the outcome of the work and the time that they were putting in, and not just the fact that, oh, well, I'm doing this job and I wish I was doing this instead. Or, oh, I'm tired and I don't feel like going into work. When you focus on the greater purpose and you're grateful for the fact that God has given you energy to do a job, it makes a world of a difference. And so hearing things like that, something I'm really trying to work on too, is just constantly just kind of reminding myself that ultimately working is a blessing, and how we approach work, how we look at it, is truly up to us, and that can make all of the difference in the world. Because the janitors could have had the mindset of, okay, even though we're janitors, we're cleaning these places, we're getting this school clean so that way students can come and learn, so that way students can come and learn and not have to worry about the floors being really dirty, or not having to worry about things being unorganized. And when you think about that, you might think about one of the students that comes here might be the CEO of a company one day. And they, even though they might not necessarily remember, oh, well, it was this janitor that, kept the floors clean or whatever, it's incredible to know that a janitor played a role in that, whether it was direct or indirect. And so, yeah, those are things even like with school as well, where, you might think, okay, well, your purpose lies in your grades, and you get straight A's and you're a straight A student, and you get your first B plus or your first B. And now you're sitting here going, wow, like your whole sense of purpose is lost because you have tied your purpose to a grade, and you've almost thought about, okay, well, these grades can do something for me. Whereas if you look at your grades as something that, okay, well, I'm in college right now and I'm taking these classes, but yeah, of course, you want to do well, but you're taking these classes so that you can learn something. You're trying to learn something so that you can apply it towards the job that you'll eventually have. And then once you apply it to that job, you can do the best job that you possibly can. Also, just bringing glory back to God by executing and doing your job at a high level. And so shifting that mindset and going from me, I want to get these grades so that this thing can happen for me. And even if you're a pre med student and you're taking a class on Shakespeare because it's a prereq, it's not about, oh, well, of course, you may not use Shakespeare in your job when you get to med school, when you graduate, but at the same time, it's all a stepping stone. And so if you think about it from the standpoint of, okay, I want to take this class and I want to build that discipline to teach myself how to work hard at things, even when I don't like it, even when I don't feel like it, those are things that are also going to serve you in the future because there's always going to be a class or something that you don't necessarily want to do, but you know that regardless of how you feel about it, you still need to do it and you still need to execute at a high level. And so that's a mentality that I wish I would have reinforced more for myself while I was in school because it really does get tricky when it's not one class that you're taking that you feel doesn't matter, it's four classes. And so now it's one of those things where you're constantly fighting with yourself and going, oh, well, okay, well, I don't feel like taking this. We have an exam and I don't want to study, but truly just learning to be grateful and learning to build those tough skills, even when you don't want to build them, is going to serve you so well in the long run. Because even if you end up becoming that doctor or whatever it is that you're trying to become, I can almost assure you there are going to be certain parts of that job that you don't like. You might have to show up early sometimes and do a certain part of, the job that you don't like. And I don't care, even if you're an athlete, sometimes you hear athletes talk about, oh, they don't want to train a certain day. They don't want to go to practice. Mini camp is tough and all of these things and conditioning. But they understand that it's one piece of the overall thing that they do. And so they understand, okay, even though conditioning might not be their favorite, conditioning plays a role because, okay, if they don't want to go to conditioning, but they still go and they still work hard, they'll get in better shape, which means they'll be able to play better in front of the fans, in front of the people who are looking up to them, people who respect them, which therefore can also inspire people to also work hard themselves. And so that's why it's a domino effect. But if that athlete says, oh, well, I don't feel like working out and I don't work out or they don't, condition and do those things to as high of a level as they can, not only do they risk the chance of maybe not making the team, but maybe getting injured, maybe not playing as well. And all of these things would keep someone from, or keep as many people, or like limit people from being as inspired by them as they would have been. And so that's why I've really just been trying to think about everything as a domino effect. Everything is a domino effect, whether we think it is or not. And so I'm trying to see here in my notes if there's anything else I wanted to touch on. But yeah, just talking about how when we focus on God and we focus on why we're here and that purpose that we have, finding your purpose means way more than achieving any kind of goal. Because ultimately, you achieve a goal if you focus on, making $500,000 in a year. Okay, well, you made $500,000 and that's going to feel good for a second. But now what? Now, what do you do after that? Did you improve in any way as a person? Did you impact anyone's life, on the road to getting there? And so, yeah, you guys, I wanted to make this video just to talk about the importance of purpose, the importance of truly just living life for God, because God created all of us. And I hope that you guys stay blessed. And I hope that you guys found some value from this video. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And also let me know you guys' thoughts in the video. Let me know if you guys have struggled with this in the past as well. And I'll talk to all of you guys in the next one.